Hey guys, it's Mitch here. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I wanted to share with you my Dendrobium Fine Dream Millionaire, which is blooming for me here on my windowsill. It's been blooming for me for most of the winter. And it has these really large, beautiful scented flowers. And I thought it would be a good opportunity to talk about how easy it is to grow these beautiful orchids. Dendrobium nobiles are probably my favorite kind of orchid to grow because they're just so easy. And if you have the right conditions, the plant can be covered in flowers for at least a month, some of them. Some of them stay longer. This one, like I said, has been blooming off and on for most of the winter for me because we're going on to month 3 now. But they're very, very easy to grow and they have beautiful scent. They're very easy to grow on windowsills because you can see a large plant can stay quite compact. You can stake the canes up nice and straight and close to each other, and they don't mind windowsill conditions at all, provided you do a few easy things. Give them lots of light, so give them a nice window where they get a few hours of sunshine in the morning. If you have a southern window, maybe move them back a little bit so they don't burn. But give them plenty of airflow as well if you're giving them lots of southern sun. Fertilize these guys in the spring and early summer. What I use are these little Schultz fertilizers. I mainly use this one now for most of my plants, but then when it's getting near the end of the summer, I switch to the Bloom ones. And I stop fertilizing about the middle to late part of the summer, around August. Then I water normally, but I don't add any more additional fertilizer. That's the time of year where all the growths are starting to harden off and the temperatures are dropping, and you can give these guys lower temperatures in the fall and winter. In fact, what they need is a nice cool, dry rest in the winter time. You can simulate this by putting them on a cold windowsill or put them in a cool room where they still get bright light, but the temperatures don't rise as much. You can keep them around 10 degrees, but I do grow mine outside for most of the year. In fact, this year I've left most of my hybrids outside and they've gone into the minus temperatures without any real damage. I wasn't really sure how that would go this year, but so far so good. During that cold period, keep them nice and dry. Don't give them any water. It's okay if the bulbs shrink a little bit and they start to lose their leaves. That's perfectly normal. What you're waiting for is to see some nice little bumps all along the canes, and that's your sign that something is starting to happen. So here's one that was just outside and I just brought it inside, and you can see all along the cane here there's these little bumps that have started to grow out, and that's the sign that this plant is now getting ready to bloom. They kind of start off looking like just a little something like this. It's like a weird nubbin, but then as you leave it out longer, it turns into a little growth like that. Once I see that, I know it's time. I can leave them outside or I can bring them inside. So this one I just brought inside because I'm gonna let it start doing its bloom thing now that the temperatures are getting warmer, and I give it a little bit of water and I put it in a nice, still cool room, but still where it gets some sunshine. If you're growing it on a windowsill, you kind of can't control the temperature as much, but you'll notice in the springtime that they do start to form these little nubbins. And then as the days get warmer or longer and you give it a little bit of water, those little buds will start to differentiate and you'll see these little buds start to form. Let's see if I can get this focused here. So this one I brought in about 3-4 weeks ago. There you go. And you can see all the little those little nubs have lengthened out, and you can now see that the flowers are coming on this plant. So I'm hoping as my Fine Dream Millionaire stops blooming, this one will start to bloom right after. They tend to have better blooms on the newer canes. So these canes grew last summer and matured over the winter, and now they're going to spike. You can see this one is the one that bloomed last spring. I don't usually cut them off unless they really dry up, because they are still giving energy to the entire plant. Sometimes if you are putting these in cooled conditions and you bring them in too early and you water it, or you give fertilizer too late in the year, what'll happen is you'll get a growth. That little bud will turn into a little plant, which I guess is a blessing too. So here you can see a little, it's called a keiki, and instead of flowers, it grew this nice little plant. That does happen quite often. So what I do is I do leave them on the plant. So this one's been on for a year. It formed last spring, and I'll wait till it's starting to grow a new growth for this year. And that's a good time for me to break this off and pot it up on its own, or leave it and put it back into the pot with the mother plant. Anyway, these are really beautiful orchids. They're very easy to grow. I'm going to put some pictures up of all the different kinds that I've flowered over the years at the end of this video. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to comment down below, and thanks very much for watching. See you next time.